Hello guys, and welcome to Almost Solitaire, where we are now entering a new century. We have reached the 200s BC now, and well, we are seeing a new. Well, actually, first of all, we are on a new theater of war, we could say. This is mainland Italy, in the very southern parts of mainland Italy, where there's a Greek city named Heraclea. And we're also seeing a new kid on the block here. It's a new faction here, the Romans. Well, to be honest, this is not a new faction at this point of time. Of course, they are really rushing for power here. They are gaining momentum and becoming a real power state. Not yet so dominant, but at this point of time, there have been lots of wars with their neighbors, Etruscans and Gauls up north, and Italian tribes. Maybe most worth to mention is the Samnites. There have been three Samnite wars between Rome and Samnium, and the Romans have emerged victorious from those conflicts, subduing tribes and cities. Also some Greek cities, and well, the Greek colonies, collectively known as the Magna Graecia in southern Italy, some of them have grown very worried about the Roman expansion. Especially, not all though. There's actually a political division there. We have the Democrats, they are anti-Roman and very worried for them, and because they are also mostly in power in Tarentum and other cities. But we have an aristocratic political party as well, who are more friendly minded towards Romans, because they see the Romans as a vehicle through which they could gain power again and rule the cities. So actually at this point of time, some cities have a Roman garrison in them, like the Thurii, who's pretty close to Tarentum, which is one of the, if not the biggest city, most important city in the southern of Italy, of the Greek cities there. So the Democrats in Tarentum are really, really worried about what is happening in Italy at this point of time. So there have been some conflicts between Tarentum and Romans before, and and also they have come to agreements of some treaties. And one of these treaties was, did state that the Romans should not enter with any ships into the Gulf of Tarento, which is in the really southern part of the Italian boot there, and adjacent to the city of Tarentum itself. So that's one part of the city. Well, at some point, when the Tarentians had some religious festivities going on in the city, they saw that there was Roman warships actually entering that gulf. So there was a kind of a panic. They did some countermeasures. There were some hostilities happening, and the Romans were expelled from the bay. But there was a new conflict emerging due to that, and so the Romans actually sent some diplomats down to Tarentum at this point of time, trying to negotiate, probably for a new kind of a deal where they could be a bit more powerful again, because now they have gained power, and as I said, they have already some garrisons in Greek cities. But those negotiations failed. So what happened then was that it ended up with Rome declaring war against Tarentum. Now, Tarentum was of course not as powerful as Rome, so they needed to gain some support from some major player here, and this is why we see Pyrrhus of Epirus here. Remember him from the last battle we played. He was a general there, leading the left flank of Antigonus in the Battle of Ipsus. And they asked him for help. Pyrrhus had some interest in that because, well, first of all, he owed the Tarentians some help, because they have helped him before in conquering some territory, some island, and so he now felt a bit obliged to help the Tarentians, and probably he was also, of course, pro-Greek, so he didn't want Rome to be too powerful either. Another thing was that he had some bigger plans. He had, some years before this, he got expelled from Macedon, where he tried to be the ruler. So, and he wanted, to gain back access to Macedon, but he was not powerful enough to do that. So he thought maybe he could be, if he could be in control of southern Italy, the Magna Graecia, and also Sicily, meaning he also need to have a conflict with the Carthaginians there, he could have the resources to mount a new attack against Macedon and seize it. So he had some bigger plans behind this, not just helping out the Tarentians, but it's really hard to say why he really did it. Anyway, he agreed, so he sailed over with loads of infantry, cavalry, and even 20 elephants over to Italy. They were not just guys from Epirus, they were Macedonian infantry that Ptolemy did supply, and mercenaries and Thessalian cavalry and stuff like that. So he had a kind of units from different parts of Greece, at this, or Hellenistic world, you could say, maybe. So the Romans, of course, panicked about this. So they drafted, I think it was actually 4 different armies, because they were very afraid that Pyrrhus would, gain sympathies from Rome's previous enemies, and they could really overthrow Rome if they all could unite. So they had to quickly draft 4 armies, and one marched north to hold the Etruscans in check, and one army left behind in Rome, to defend the city if someone came towards that city. And if I remember correctly, one army was sent towards Samnium, and then we have one more Senate army here, led by, I think he's a senator actually. Oh, senator, a consul, of course. I mean, a consular army led by Levinus. I think he's a consul, and let's see, maybe it says here, yeah, Consular Valerius Levinus. So he's a consul, and I think this was comprised of 2 legions and 2 allied legions, you could say, and a lot of cavalry here as well. So pretty big army. I think it says here in the historical background that is about 25,000 men, yeah. And here it also says the force of Pyrrhus, 25,000 men, 3,000 horse, and 20 elephants. So these guys, the Romans, marched southwards to meet Pyrrhus. Pyrrhus tried again to negotiate with the Romans when they were already on the field, more or less. They declined any treaties here, so they started to deploy. And close to this river, Siris, Pyrrhus did deploy his army. sending forward some light infantry and scouts here to see when the Romans were about to traverse this river, and then they could do some attacks while they have these difficulties of going over the river. And the next morning, I think it was, at dawn, the Romans were going over and beginning the attack against Pyrrhus. So Pyrrhus arrayed his forces, sent the cavalry to attack. A big infantry fight took place as well, and things were going pretty okay for the Romans here. Both sides actually launched a lot of attacks against the other lines, but none were really successful to break through. So a big stalemate here. This is pretty interesting because we have the Macedonian style of warfare here with a big heavy phalanxes against the Roman legion. So this is really a new kind of types of armies that clash for the first time here, and none of them could really get a good grip on the other. So a lot of attacks going on here, but the Romans, I think at some point they were gaining a bit of an upper hand here. And also there's a story about Pyrrhus where there was a rumor that he was afraid that if he got killed, that will break the morale of the Greek army and they would flee. So he shifted his armors with some other guy, and that guy was killed. I guess the story goes like that. And when the Romans realized that Pyrrhus has been killed, what they thought, they cheered and launched a big attack again. At that point, Pyrrhus saw it necessary to ride in front of his men with his helmet off to showing he's still alive, and that boosted the morale of the Greeks and they could counterattack. And this is what the story tells us. So anyway, in the end, as there was no decisive blows coming from either side, Pyrrhus employed his secret weapon, the elephants. So the elephants, together with cavalry, the Thessalian elite cavalry, managed to first of all scare off the Roman cavalry, and then when attacking the infantry they panic because they haven't seen these elephants before. So they really just broke and fled the field, meaning Pyrrhus won the battle because he held the field, but both sides took heavy losses from this battle, and so in that sense it was not a decisive victory for Pyrrhus, but it was still an important one because after this many Italian tribes wanted to join him because they saw him victorious and at last someone who could overthrow the Romans. So that's how the story goes about this battle. Anyway, I think also the Romans called this, was it the Lucanian oxen or something? They thought it was kind of an an ox or something of that animal type. Anyway, back to the battle then. So let's check out the Borg Council. We have the Epirot and the Roman army both having 5 command cards, and we will see the Epirots move first, so the Greeks will do their thing first, and we'll fight till one side gains 7 banners. Then we have some special rules. The river Ceres is only possible at the bends. As you can see, we have a bend there, we get a bend there, but these 3 hexes are not possible. Then we have this elephant fright thing. So a Roman infantry unit in close combat with an elephant may not ignore any flags rolled by that elephant unit, even if the unit has attached leader or is supported by through 2 adjacent friendly units. So Roman infantry, they will run if they get attacked by an elephant who rolls flags. So that's basically it. So let's have a quick review of the armies. Okay, so let's check out the army of the Greeks. So over there, on the right hand side, we have 3 cavalry units, 2 medium heavies and 1 light over there. So these are probably some Thessalian cavalry, maybe some Tarentine cavalry. They were famous for their skirmishing abilities and still being good fighters. And we have a leader there named Leonatus. And then we have 2 elephant units. So these represent these 20 elephants Pyrrhus did bring. So it's probably about 10 in each unit. Then we have the first line here of infantry. That's light infantry there, medium heavies, heavy guys, phalanxes, and there we have Pyrrhus himself. And then we have some medium, auxiliary, and 3 bow units. Behind there we have 2 more heavy phalanx units and another auxiliary. So it's an interesting thing that we have also 3 bow units there. Actually, I think Pyrrhus did bring some Rhodian slingers here. We don't see any unit of that, but probably they could be said is included here. I think it was about 500 slingers who should be here. So a pretty solid line here. Very skirmish heavy on that side, extremely heavy on the center, loads of heavy and medium heavy infantry supported by some auxiliaries, and here we have a strong cavalry wing supported by these elephants. So pretty solid, I'd say, though a bit slow, but hard punching guys. And on the Roman side, from the left, we have their cavalry wing here. There are some different numbers on how many cavalry they did bring, but I think something between 2,000 and 6,000 or something like that. Anyway, in the scenario we have 3 units of medium heavy cavalry, so they have quite a substantial force of cavalry here on their left wing to meet up those guys. But yeah, it will be hard, I guess, to win a cavalry fight here for the Romans. Anyway, let's continue. We have some light infantry here, or velites, and then we have some auxilia here, so probably some Italian allies. Here we got some 3 units of medium heavies. We have hastati and princeps or principes here, princeps, and then we have some triarii here in the back, as they should be, and the leader here is Cassius. Then we have a little gap here, and then we have another force on the right hand side, so more medium heavy infantry up there. We have 2 units of light infantry all the way here, backed up by a heavy second line, 2 units of heavy infantry, and here we find Labienus himself as well. And on the extreme right we have on the river another medium heavy cavalry. So all in all, 4 cavalry units here for the Romans against, if we don't count the elephants, only 3 for the Greeks. So that's something we don't see too often, that the Romans are heavier on the cavalry side. Anyway, what could we say on the Roman line? Well, we have good punching power on every sector here. So if we start talking some tactics here, for the Epirus side, they are, I feel, a bit heavier. So they should just move forward and attack. That's the main plan, just go forward. That flank is of course more skirmish based, so they should advance more cautiously, I guess, and pour in some fire and try to get these Hastati or whatever it is here, that should try to get some hits on them, because if we start to clash here, then the Romans will win this battle, that's for sure. So we want to keep the distance, but we have a 3 range missile range here, so we could just keep the distance and fire, and then we're happy with Epirus here. Center should just advance and clash with the Romans, try to at least get an exchange here with victory banners. And over here we should also go on the attack as the Epirus. We have the elephants as the trump card here, so if we just clash with the cavalry and the elephants could follow up with an attack, that's really good. So that's a simple plan, but which should bring victory to Epirus if he can pull that through. For the Romans, I see it a bit more difficult. First of all, they are more closer to their baseline, and even having some hexes, you know, these river hexes where they cannot retreat or evade. So they are in a not that advantage position here as the Greeks are. So also what is very worrying are those elephants over there. So because we really don't have a good weapon here against them, for sure not attack them with cavalry. That would just be suicide, because they are so immune against cavalry attacks. You know, they can ignore first hit and a flag, and also hit, you know, ignore all sword symbols. So what I think we should do is to get whatever we have in missile troops over here to, and spare those to engage the elephants. And the bad thing is we only have 2. We have an auxiliary unit and we have a light infantry unit there. So those 2 are really, really important on this flank. So we need to protect them. And when and if the elephant unit will approach, they could attack it and try to get the hits and some flags and the trample effect, you know. So in the center, well, I think we are strong enough, if we can get also some support from the right hand flank to meet the phalanxes. It will be some give and take. Maybe we could even lose here. That's a bit worrisome, to be honest, but we don't have any other weapon. We need to fight our way out here to get those banners, so we should be ready to clash here. Over here, well, even though we are heavier and better here, it's a bit difficult. We should approach those guys, but they can evade and run away all the time, and that's gonna be very annoying. So I don't see any point of using the heavy infantry, the triarii, to chase those guys. That would be just a waste of resources. We need those in the big battle in the center. So I want to start moving the triarii and maybe the 1 medium heavy there as well towards the center. Bad thing is we are getting very weak here. Then we have only 2 velites and 1 legionary cavalry unit there. So I don't really know. This is hard. I mean, on the whole front, I feel we are a bit weaker as the Romans. But when checking the units, first of all, in numbers, we are not that inferior. I mean, we don't have as much heavies as those guys, but we have loads of medium heavies. So we should be able to have a good infantry fight. But the flanks are the things that worries me as a Roman, actually. So the overall plan, I think, will be to... I want to move up some, because I don't want to be so close to my baseline. But maybe only 1 hex row or something forward, and then I don't think we should press on the attack. We should await the Greeks to approach and then try to get in the first hit if possible. Also here, just wait for them to come. Keep the light infantry ready if the elephants come. If the cavalry fight comes here, we are pretty okay. here against those guys. They have a leader with them, but we are a bit heavier. We have 3 mediums, they have only 2. Here, try to chase those bow units because they will advance and start firing upon us. So we need to counter with our velites and also do some cavalry lashes to make them flee and get them out of range. So that's the plans, and by that, let's not chat anymore, let's start doing some business. So I think it was, let me check, yeah, Epirote army will move first. So these are the blue guys here, so I'm gonna face up the 2 cards named A and B, and let's see, 3 units right and 3 units left. So the Epirotes will either start there or there, probably. It depends on what we roll, of course. It was a C or least lowest order count, it says. Yeah, okay. So C is light troops. That's pretty interesting as well. So we could start a good skirmish round here, moving forward with our lights. And we can move up to 5 units, and we have, well, we have 6 of them, I believe. Actually 7. Well, okay, so anyway, let's see where we can start. Well, I want to make, advantage of those bows. So that's 3. Let's do something with the light cavalry, and let's take that light as well. So that's 5 units. Let's wait with that light and march up these guys instead. So let's see, where should we attack? We have no chance of making these guys retreat because they are supported. So we need to roll a hit if we're gonna achieve something with that light cavalry here. But we can start harassing the Roman cavalry, I guess. So let's go here. Throw some javelins. Here we want to let's see, all these guys are also supported, so there's no way for us to start rolling any flags here. But let's try to hit that Hastati unit there. Like that. And we bring some support with us. So let's put him, well, let's put him here so we have a line, a nice line here, connection. So those guys are still unsupported, of course, but that's how it goes. So, some battles then. Let's start here. So we just throw our javelins against that cavalry unit there. We need a blue. We got a red. Then we have some bow fights to do. Let's start with that guy towards that unit. That's a miss. Next one, same target. Flag, he can ignore that. Third one, same target. And that's a red. So no hits from the Greeks here. So that was the light troops. And now's the Romans. And they rolled the same card. So let's first of all bring up A and B. They should be up from the beginning actually. And then we also look at C. So we have C or lowest count. So we could order a bunch of medium heavies now. Don't know if that's so interesting now. Inspired leadership, left leadership. That's bad. We don't have any leaders over here. That sucks. And then we have 2 right. So we could respond on our right against those guys. And I think I want to do that actually. So yeah, so I'll play 2 right. The question is, should we just go forward with the skirmishers and throw the javelins, or should we actually do a charge with the cavalry here? Scare off some of those guys. I think I want to do that. I want to hit heavy right from the beginning. So I order those velites and that cavalry unit. These guys will move up front here. Like that. And the cavalry will move 1, 2, and 3. So let's start throwing our javelins against that unit. That was a miss. And now for the cavalry attack. I want to break their support as good as possible, so I'll hit that unit in the center here, who will try to evade, but will still roll the 3 dice. And there were no greens, so no hits taken for these guys, so they just evade 2 hexes back like that. But now I have those guys isolated, these guys no more in support, and that's nice. So we could follow up with a bit of luck. Let's give the Romans a new card, and then we play the Epirots again. D or E. So we're going to reveal these 2. 2 in the center, or outflanked. And I will for sure play the outflanked. Now that's a good card at this point of time, because now we could continue pouring in fire here. I will start moving forward some other cavalry, I guess. Yeah, I will move forward. What is Leonidas, or what was the name? Leonatus. Leonatus was the name of that leader here. So Leonatus with his cavalry go forward. Let's see if the Romans dare to counter. In that case, they could need to deal with some elephants later on. Over here, I started to move already before I ordered any here. Sorry about that, but I will just do like this. And no movement there. I will just fire. So let's start here. So we got 2 dice from here against that cavalry. And that's too bad, a miss. These guys are a bit more closer range. Let's see if those are more lucky. Yeah, they were. 1 hit. Good. Good hit there. And over here we take the same target, this time with 2 dice. But that was 2 greens, so no hits on that medium heavy cavalry of the Romans, which I think they are happy for. And let's see if they can now retaliate. But we had the first loss, and that's a Roman block. Now it's the Romans. Okay, so E, that's the face-up tactic card. I think this is not counted as a tactic card actually. But so this would right now be 1 unit of my choice. I think this actually counts as an section card, but I think to be really sure, I'm gonna check that up. I know this is at least counted as a section card, so it will be one of these 2 cards, but I need to check this, how this should be counted, because that could decide which of the cards I must play actually. So hold on, I'm gonna check that. Okay, so I checked it up. This is actually counted as a section card. So, I mean, this will order more troops than this one. So I need to play the Inspired Left Leadership, because that only orders one unit of my choice. So that's the one with the least amount of cards. So it would be one. I wonder if I need to do it on the left sector, or order one of your choice. I think it's on the whole board then. I don't have to do it here. So where should we hit this time then? Should we scare off those light cavalry? The bad thing is if I break up my supported line here, suddenly I cannot take any flags anymore. You know, that's a bad thing. But I cannot just stay here and get bombarded. Sooner or later I start to lose some blocks here. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a bold attack here. These guys will attack. And they will actually ride up here, and they will target the medium heavies there. Let's see, they can take one flag. So I rolled a hit and one flag. So first of all, remove one. Then we need to check if Leonatus is survived. Yeah, so now they can battle back. And they hit us with 2. Ouch. And then they also forced us to retreat, which is pretty bad. That was a good roll by Leonatus there. So these guys need to go 3 back, and they cannot, because this is impossible terrain. So these guys actually die, and that gives Pyrrhus the first banner. Well, that was not good. You know, my thought was, you know, I was hoping to get these guys to retreat or get many hits. If they could retreat, which was my secret hope, I could attack that with the momentum attack and scare those off away. Then I could have cleared the board of on the Roman side of the board of enemy units, but that was not enough good rolls, and Leonatus of course rolled really good. So that was a cavalry charge that did not end as expected. Anyway, it's time for Pyrrhus again. Okay, so let's see what the Epirot player gets. That's an E, or less order count, or least order count, lowest. And we only have section cards there, so there's no tactic cards to play. So the one that orders least is actually 2 unit center. So they need to start moving up their center now, and we think they also wish to do that. They want to try to hit the Romans as close to their baseline as possible. That makes sense. The only problem is these 2. I mean, it's difficult to move forward without just starting to break the line, which I don't want to do. So let's see. I think we just start from this side, and I will activate those 2 actually. So we move up the auxiliaries and some medium heavies, and hopefully can follow up with the rest of the line pretty soon. So not much action in this activation. Let's see, yeah, let's play the Roman turn as well. It's a D or E. So we have 2 face down cards here. It's a counterattack with me 2 in the center, or we have a 4 in the center. And I think I don't want to you know, use this counterattack for just 2 in the center, so I will play 4 in the center. And this also goes with the Roman plan. They now see the Epirot starting moving forward. They will counter and move also some guys forward. And let's see how I want to do this. So play the 4. Let's do like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to start meeting that that side of the line where they are approaching. So we're going to move here, up there, and these guys follow more in the center, I guess. Like that. Pretty cool. So we have a break in the line here, not that cool, but we could repair that with one move. Also remember, these guys can move too, but if you remember what I said in my initial plans, I want kind of keep them here, that auxiliary as well, because I want to have something as a countermeasure against those elephants. So that's it. We're a bit weak here on the left hand side of the Romans now. So I will end this session here, and well, I think we have seen some cool things happening already. Crazy cavalry charge is here. First, here comes probably the Tarentine cavalry harassing, making one of the units nervous who did counterattack, but actually bypassed these guys and attacked. I also got his name. I want to say Leonidas, but that's a different guy, right? Leonatus is the name of that guy, and so they countered, eliminated the whole unit of Roman cavalry there. Bad blow. So they are really weakened here now, but they have a task force of 4 units that should be able to protect the flank of these heavier troops marching forward to meet the Epirotes. Over here we have seen mostly skirmish. Again, basically the Romans use the same tactic as here. They plunge forward with their cavalry to scare off some of the missile troops or the harassing troops, and well, no losses, but they managed to split up this Epirote formation here, and that could be good because we have an isolated unit there. So all in all, we have 4 lost blocks for the Romans, because they also lost 1 here, and 1 Greek so far, or Epirote, and they also got 1 victory banner so far. So that's it, and that's it. Again, thank you very much for watching, and hope you will be back for part 2 of the Battle of Heraclea. Bye bye.